perfect hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head. Get you out of my head again.
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you anyway.
Just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat of down, I've crossed the lines just to tell you. Don't lead the way, don't leave a stay. Then I turn with a celebrate in the rain. I feel like I'm
I am in misery.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all like judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones, I'm losing it all. Stuck in my head, I am in misery. Deep inside myself, all I get, my only family. Stuck in the grave, can someone rescue me? I'm burning alive, I got it, I am in
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by my tag team partner, the one and only, the Nastral, the Hollywood Astrid, all of the wonderful nicknames that she despises. Astrid, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I've had a long day. Hello, Mr. Bobby Munson. Thank you for joining us. The Ogre Lord is here, everyone. Remember that. Andre is obviously not switched over his accounts as he says the Queen and the Troll. And I know that's Andre because, well, we know it's not Mel.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Tonight was... Was tonight by the books, or was tonight an interesting show? Because I feel like it's a little bit of both. It's kind of paint by numbers, post pay-per-view, do all the post pay-per-view things, but they splashed a little, ooh, let's do this and let's tell you this. I know what you want to do, don't worry.
I feel like it was a mixture of it okay, it's gonna seem very exaggerated, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But it felt like they're building up for New Year's Eve, but it also felt like they were building up towards the future for Stand and Deliver at the same time.
Yeah, I think dominoes are being put in place, but specifically by keywords on commentary, things are being put in place. And actually, even in promos, there was a couple of promos where I think that they're trying to tease something that might potentially happen at some point. Let's start where they started. Obviously after the recap of the pay-per-view, we get Julia coming out. The Women's Iron Survivor. I always forget it's the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge match. The Women's Iron Survivor Challenge winner, Julia, comes out to cut her promo. And by the way, lovely promo. Love it. Entirely in English. Entirely like, I know she has good English, but we've come to expect that they don't all be able to. Nope. Right from word one, just right on pace, good rhythm, good pacing. She knew what she was trying to say. She got over not only the tone, but the words. You knew what she was trying to do the whole time. Really, really loved this promo from Julia. Which, of course, brings out Roxanne Perez. And my night immediately got worse. She talks about how nobody's on her level, and of course not, because Julia and Stephanie are on a level above you, Roxanne. It's just how it is. Again, Roxanne cuts cookie cutter Roxanne heel promo. I'm better than you. I've been doing this since, about a year. And by the way, this is the first tease of Stand and Deliver. We have Roxanne bringing up that it's been about a year that she's been doing this. And I'm like, I think it's a mistake if they drag this out to Stand and Deliver by themselves. Like, if she's still holding the title by the time we get to Stand and Deliver, I think that's a mistake. I think she can be champion by April, but I don't think she should be the champion from here to April. I think with the talent level and the feuds you're telling, I think you can ping pong this a little bit in multi-person matches from here to Stand and Deliver in Vegas.
I got distracted by the comment. I get where you're coming from, but I feel like it's also when you have somebody like Roxanne who has been building this division, and in those moments that they felt like there was nobody else and she was that person, she ended up being that foundation right now for the women's division. I feel the least you could do is have her reign and her title reign in a Stand and Deliver, make it bigger, make it, give her that little like bow before wrap out her NXT career in that sort of way before she actually goes to the main roster. And I feel like they didn't get to do anything like this before with the first reign. So I feel like, especially with this reign being so different from her first one, in the way her opponents have been and how different she has been built, I feel like the least you could do is give her that grand ending, to put it like that, and have her leave the way she wants to. And if you have to drag it out and deliver, I really don't mind it, to be honest. I would just say like that would be like what I'm thinking of right now. We'll see what happens later on with the builds, but I feel like they could do the build it that way, just because we have so many people that I wouldn't know who to pick right now to get the championship to either way. I feel like they were to pick one that sort of way at the same time.
Yeah, and it's just like in my mind, if you try to drag it to Stand and Deliver, you devalue Stephanie a little bit. You devalue Julia a little bit. You devalue, depending what division she ends up in, because she still hasn't really been put in a place anywhere in singles competition, Zarya a little bit. Depending where those dominoes end up, I feel like there's not enough storytelling you can do between now and then to make it make sense. That's the only problem I have with that, is if we do that, Julia has to lose to Roxanne again. Fine. But now we're starting to push it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now Julia's had 2 opportunities at the championship as a big star, not having to wait in line, and she's lost twice.
And I feel like with this particular match, based on what happened tonight, I can see Cora trying to get in there and Stephanie kind of try to save Julia's match and take out Cora. But at the same time, maybe we can kind of have that miscommunication. So maybe Stephanie ends up helping Roxanne without Roxanne really noticing. And then Julia looks at her like, I thought you were kind of my friend. And she's like, kind of like, I am your friend. But at the same time, there's a championship on the line too. And I feel like you could kind of build it up with all 4 of them at the same time in that aspect based on what we got tonight.
Yeah. And as STG is here, he says, I got here and Ed has the haterade going. Show us the drink. Lots of haterade, plenty to talk about. Andre bringing in the true facts, and these are important facts to know, that Julia was born in England. She's part Japanese, part Italian. She's a whole mess of everything all thrown into one. But she's great. Like I said, she's raised in Japan, and she is, like I said, able to speak relatively good English. But having spoken so much Japanese for so long, cutting promos in English is still going to take her time. But I was impressed with the way that she was able to cut through everything and deliver a really good promo right off the bat. But it is good to know, all the specifics. STG saying the level of competition is so fierce that I feel like they can't drag it out to Stand and Deliver. But do you feel Julia should capture the title to start a new reign? Like I said, it's kind of hit or miss. If you drag it out without injuring Roxanne, literally you'd have to do an injury angle. But then how do you get from here to April? Like, we're talking 4 months. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on there. We have Millie hopping in saying hi. We have Logan saying that Stephanie and Julia should be the big match at Stand and Deliver. I kind of agree. I kind of think the Stand and Deliver match should be Julia versus Stephanie McCourt. I think, especially with another thing that was said on commentary during the main event, Roxanne is currently tied with, I believe, Io Sky for the most matches on a premium live event. Yeah, we'll get to STG and Rob. Rob's very excited because based on tonight's show, me and Rob are apparently seeing Stephanie McCourt versus Cora Jade next week in Lowell. So he's out of his mind. I'm sure if I look at my phone, I probably got 5 messages of him saying, I get to see Cora, I get to see Cora. But no, I think that the big money match that you could do at Stand and Deliver is the 4-way. It's Roxanne versus Julia versus Stephanie versus Cora. But I feel like if you do that, I feel like it needs to be one of the faces walking in with the championship. Because, like I said, I feel like you kind of devalue everybody if you don't do something. Because do we really want 4 more months of long finishes just to get Roxanne over the border? Like, I'm fine with Roxanne being champion. She's a fantastic champion. But we're at a point now where how does the story make sense? Make it make sense to me. And I think that's where we're at with the question. And we'll see what Triple H do. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, A-Train, as we saw in the if you haven't seen the Instagram footage from Shawn Michaels, him and A-Train are very, very much, hand in hand with this stuff. Will comes in and says, I love the bit that Kairi Sane does. Like, she doesn't speak English, but she does. Yeah, I like Kairi when she go, like when Julia goes off, and we'll talk about it in a bit. When Julia goes off outside the medical center in Japanese, it is one of the best things in the world. I love when they let them do that. It's so much fun. Honestly, yes, I do believe Cora deserves a spot in the 4-way. I think Cora is... I'm going to word this very carefully. I think Cora is a good enough storytelling tool to be able to deserve a place in that match. I don't think that she's talented enough to deserve a stand and deliver main. Yes, Rob. I don't necessarily know if she's talented enough to deserve a spot in that main event over some of the other people. But I think that the storytelling purposes make her the perfect piece.
You make her the scapegoat in the match. That's why you make Cora there.
Yes, because Cora's there to take a pinfall.
Yes.
She likes laying down and hearing somebody count to 3. It's fine.
Oh my God, Ed.
That's just not. She likes taking pinfalls. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know what you've got going on. After WrestleMania, Julia's not debuting on Raw after WrestleMania. Julia is here for a significant amount of time. Don't rush Julia to the main roster. No. Yes, but not. Yes, but not like that. I can't not say that I didn't, because I did. But I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it in the way that the question came across.
You're digging yourself out deeper.
It's our local enhancement talent. Just so we're clear. Those tickets are non-refundable, good sir. I may not be going anymore, but those tickets are non-refundable. Anyways, let's move on. Ethan Page is sitting, and we hear the Ethan Page promo from Send and Deliver.
But hold on, you didn't even get to the Stephanie attack.
Oh, sorry, we got caught up with all the other stuff. So Julia says, let's just do it now. And then Cora comes out and says, I don't think that's a good idea. No, it's fine, Millie. I deserve it. It's fine. I walked myself into that, but it's fine. Julia wants to fight now. Cora comes out and says, I don't think that's a good idea. And just so you know, I don't think that your friend Stephanie's coming out. You don't have to wonder. I'll take credit for this one myself. And they flash up on the board that Stephanie McCoy has been attacked backstage. Well done. Brawl starts and Kalani Jordan, of all people, makes the save. Fine. Kalani likes having friends. She does. Like, let's be honest. Kalani likes having friends.
I'm gonna say I saw this in the Get the Tables Discord, so thank you SCG for having it's the second most watched for your Twitch was it Wrapped or Recap or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Twitch Recap. I know we're not Millie's number 1, but I at least hope we're in the top 3. I know we're not nearly as good as Allison K, but maybe we're near the top there for you anyways, Millie. So that sets up the main event for tonight, which is going to be Stephanie. Well, according to WWE, it was Julia and Stephanie McCoy, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So they beat down on Julia. Kalani comes out, makes the save in the weirdest double leg takedown I've ever seen. By the way, did you catch that when Cora and Kalani tried to do the double leg takedown thing on the side of the ring during the brawl, and Kalani can't get the double leg, and then Cora doesn't know how to fall, so she just falls down.
I totally missed that part.
It's a bit awkward. If you go back and watch, you'll see it's a tiny bit awkward. But no. There might be. I don't know. YouTube does all kinds of crazy things. That's fine. Oh yeah, because you don't watch us on Twitch. You do watch us on YouTube. We do move on now, after I think I've covered all the women's stuff in the first segment. Ethan Page cutting his sad promo, and they have a whole host of talent. They have Imamura, they have Briggs, they have a couple other guys. He's sitting on a couch. Ethan Page, they cut to him as Tony D'Angelo walks through. And there's Ethan Page sitting like the saddest boy in the world next to Lexus King. And honestly, Page, I would feel sad too if I had to sit on a couch with Lexus King. I'd be sad too, buddy. But no, so Tony D'Angelo says that he's in the giving spirit and he feels bad for him. So he wants to give Ethan Page a championship opportunity at the North American Championship. And Ethan, rightfully, I liked Ethan's thinking here. He's like, look, I was the NXT champion. I ran this company. I was the figurehead. I don't necessarily want to step down to the North American Championship. Tony's like, that's fine, Ethan. I get it. No big deal. No hurt feelings here. Who else wants a shot? And everybody starts running up to try to get a shot, including Oro Mensah hanging off the top over people.
It was and we had I keep saying his name wrong because I'm thinking of the Spanish guy. Dion Lennox was there, and Ashanti was there, and Cedric was in the background too.
Yeah. Well, of course, Dion Lennox is with his new weird best friend Ashanti the Adonis, learning how to be reading book player. He wants to be Ashanti the Adonis, but the well-read version of Ashanti the Adonis. Maybe then he won't make so many mistakes.
Pass.
No, you like Dion Lennox. I don't know why you're passing. What is it? Because he's associated with Mr. Ashanti now?
Yeah.
Ethan rethinks his position upon seeing everybody there, and Tony makes him say it, but he does say that he wants the opportunity at the North American Championship. Tony goes, fine, we'll make it official. So we have another match for tonight's show. Good segment. This Ethan Page storyline is intriguing. I don't hate it. I like the idea of having a guy, especially a heel. It's rare that this happens for a heel. This is always typically a babyface thing. I don't know how to get back to the top. The heel keeps cheating on me. I don't know what to do. It's typically that. So seeing the heel be like, I got to the top of the mountaintop and now I can't get back and I don't know how to do it. It's interesting. It's different. It's also really interesting. The guy's been here 3 months and he's already like, I don't know what else I can do. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I apologize for that concert behind the scenes that you can hear.
Will Chisholm does say, though, that he is just glad that we didn't get the bad love angle on the show. We didn't have any Days of Our Lives this week, which means I'll probably get it next week in Lowell. Shit.
Yes.
Anyways, do we have anything else to talk about with the North American Championship opportunity?
No, we got the first time of Lexus of the night.
Yes. Do you want to talk about Lexus King and the Candy Crew here?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So since Asher doesn't want to talk about it, I guess I'll pick this up and go with it. Lexus comes in and he talks to Charlie Dempsey and he's like, look, I'm getting myself back on track. I went to Minneapolis and I found myself and I've been a really good boy, Santa, and I want another shot at the cup. I need another shot at the Heritage Cup. And Charlie's like, you know what? You're doing good. You're trying your best. But you've already had a shot. But, I'll think about it. And maybe I'll give you a shot. I'm like, all right, makes sense. I don't love the way that we're getting Lexus King another opportunity at a championship here. But I like that Charlie isn't just being like, no, or like, absolutely yes. I like how there's like a middle ground where he's like, let me think.
Mm-hmm.
Never necessarily a bad idea. I don't see Ethan Page going babyface. I see him. Oh no, he's absolutely going ultra heel He's not coming out of this a babyface. This is the typical storyline that you don't associate with a heel, which is why I think it's interesting. He's not going to be a babyface, but I like the fact that they're at least giving a babyface storyline to a heel. And it's also good because if they decide to move him, NXT has already done everything they need to do to wipe the slate clean and never talk about Ethan Page again.
And just the other thing I was thinking about is like, it would be cool, because I don't want to say interesting, it would be cool if it led to Josh coming to NXT, but at the same time, Josh is not going to be a free agent until after February. So just like, it feels like if it is leading up to that, it feels like it feels a little too early for that.
No, what I would do is from here, I wouldn't see Ethan Page on television again until we see Ethan Page as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. And then the Tuesday after the Rumble, if Alexander's contract is up, even if we don't see Ethan, I want to have commentary making random North references, whether it be some kind of reference to somebody being from Canada, things like that, and then bring back, as Andre says, well, I mean, I think the North will probably come back together. I do not think they're winning the tag team titles with Stand and Deliver.
Well, I was gonna say we saw the Motor City Machine Guns, so you never know in this day and age in WWE at this point.
Yeah, but they are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Are they still? I don't remember what happened. I know Johnny turned heel. I just didn't see the end of the match and if they lost him or not.
No, DIY won the titles. Yeah,
good for DIY. They did it themselves. Anyways, we'll talk about that another time. So Lexus walks away having gotten what he wanted, which is Charlie to consider giving him an opportunity. And then Charlie goes up and sees all his friends. The Candy Crew is there, and he's very happy, even though all of them lost. Ren lost more than anybody else in the entire world on that night. and the boys came this close to becoming the tag team champions, but unfortunately they did not become the tag team champions. But he's very impressed. He says that they all had great showings, which we both agreed with. They had fantastic showings. Like I said, I thought the tag team match was probably one of the best matches of the night, and I thought that Ren Sinclair was my MVP in that match. I think, as young as she is, they gave her a lot of faith and trust to put her in there and have her go 25 minutes from bell to bell in that match. And I think she made every single one of them look good. I think they both had an incredible night. Also, for Andre in the chat, it was very nice to see Tavion Heights wearing a Marufuji t-shirt. I did notice that. My eagle eyes were paying attention. We'll talk more about Noah in a little bit. This is where we get the Javon Evans versus Wes Lee match. What do you think of Javon Evans versus Wes Lee?
I was very torn about it because I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I don't know what was about it. Like, it took a little bit for me to get into it. And once I did, I feel like it was over. And I don't know what it was about these two. And it's like, and I enjoy Wes Lee a lot. Javon is still like growing on me. So I was very surprised. Like, I feel like I was even like spacing out at one point. I'm like, I feel like I did remember what I was watching at one point, but the part that I really enjoyed probably the most is the storytelling here between both of them, and the fact that Wes Lee comes in with the cardiac kick and he gets the 2 count. I thought that Javon was going to go for the ropes because he was so close to them, so I was expecting that instead. But when he gets the 2 count, and he's just so surprised about it. But Javon is able to do this finish and get that win there. They're definitely building him up. This is what I mean about the little sprinkles to Stand and Deliver, because they're already building him up for something bigger. And you can see that this is already the start of this happening here with Wes Lee, and using somebody of Wes Lee's caliber to, elevate Javon in the end. So I feel like it was pretty awesome to see that. But yeah, I didn't enjoy the matches as much as I wanted to, though.
Yeah, I think the match was good, but not memorable. There's not much I'll remember from this match, but it was entertaining enough as it was. It was a good television match. They erased all of the issues they had on Sunday in those first 5 minutes. There were none of those issues tonight. They were really good. They were on the top of their game. They pulled out all the stops and they did really cool stuff. Wes Lee trying to get the heel win by using his feet on the ropes. I thought that was fantastic. Javon Evans getting the big win. I like that too. I think Wes Lee versus Javon Evans versus Obafemi might be our men's main event at Stand and Deliver. Well, I don't think it'll main event, but I think it'll be our men's NXT Championship match.
Yep.
I could see that being because I think there's more to tell between Wes Lee and Obafemi, and I think I think you need a babyface in there to do that match properly again. You need a babyface, and as much as we love Obafemi and as much as I love Obafemi, and I think you like him a whole lot. I think that Oba can't do the babyface thing. There needs to be, with this version of Wesley, there needs to be another piece there. And I think Javon Evans is that perfect piece to tie the room together and do the whole thing. We have a bunch of comments coming in. We'll go ahead and get to those as we've now finished with that match in that segment. We've got Will saying, I think it's saying something that we saw Jada on the show and not Lola. No, not really. Lola tends to disappear after her wins in Underground. She tends to disappear for a few weeks. I don't think there's anything to that. I think there's a very good reason why Jada was here, and I think Ren Sinclair is the perfect person to reheat Jada Parker back up. And I think that's why we see Jada tonight, is because they know she needs her heat back, and she needs it back quick. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win a 6-man tag sometime by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see that match some point at the end of the year.
Yeah,
we have Andre
filling that up too.
Yeah, Andre C. The best thing WWE did for Tavion was sending him to Noah. Absolutely. Tavion. We said it on Saturday. Santana agreed. Noah did incredibly wonderful things for Tavion Heights. It made him an absolute star. I think there's nothing better than that. And a bit of shameless self-promotion. Good job, Andre. I appreciate it. Did you know that me and Mel are debuting a new Noah review show on Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk in January? I did know that because I asked Mel if I needed to put the Noah logo on the year-end review show thing, and she says, no, we haven't started the Noah show yet. So I went, oh, there's a Noah show coming. Will says, is it just me or is Wes Lee trying to get a little bit buff like he's getting in main roster shape? I think Wes Lee is definitely leveling up his physique a bit. But I don't think it's for the main roster. I mean, I think he's getting a main roster call up, and I think he's buffing up, but I don't think the two are linked anymore.
No, I think it's more about the character change than anything, if you think about it that way, because like the hair, the gear, he wants to show up that he's a little bit different now with this turn.
Yeah, and I think that the Triple H idea, you don't necessarily need to have the physique in order to get a push. I think Triple H would be willing to push anybody. No, I don't think Kalani Jordan was in the main event tonight. There's no stop to her push yet. She's still getting said push. There's not stopping any push there for that. No comment. Andre's no comment. If you want to find out what Ed thinks of Lola, go watch Saturday's show. It is like 3 weeks, but like I said, I think in 3 weeks there's plenty of time to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if the match happens in 2 weeks. I don't know if we're getting it next week. I think that we're going to get a little bit. I think next week we get Ren versus Jada. And then I think there's interference or that the boys all get a scuffle. And then that leads to the triple threat match or the six-man tag.
I can see that happening too.
I don't know which show we're...
the Noah one, I think.
Oh. Maybe. Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk, maybe?
No, did you Noah?
Well, Did You Know is not the show title. It's just being a... Oh, is that the actual name of the show? I didn't know that was the name of the show. I thought that was just a...
He really asking the question, did you know that there's a new Noah show?
Well, I know there's a new Noah show. Oh, my God. Who's on first? We get an Axiom. We get an Axiom promo here. Astrid, you love of Naxium. Go ahead and tell us bit for bit what happened in this promo.
See?
You have it written down.
See, I got confirmation. Did you know it's the name of the show?
I honestly, I just knew that there was a Noah show coming.
There you go. It was very fun.
I've had a long day. I'm lucky I've even been able to focus this long.
This part I thought it was pretty funny because this is if you want to combine the other one with this one, I guess, because it just one after the other one almost.
Go ahead.
The fact that we get this part of Naxium reflecting back on Deadline and say, no, amigo, like you're the one that carried the whole match. You're like, no, but look at you. You were injured and you still came out and, did your thing in the match and we still won. We kept the titles. And I love Axiom going and saying, it's like, oh, but Oba cost you the Iron Survivor. That's why you're not contender anymore. So it's like, don't worry, I'm going to do something to help you out because of what you did. And then the other one's like, I'm going to help you out. And then later on, they both sit down and Axiom goes first and he says, well, I talked to Ava and I got a match with Opa for me next week. And then Nathan just gives him that face of like, why would you do that? And he's like, well, I'm just trying to pay back for what you did. And he goes, well, I went to Ava and I got us a tag team match next week. And Axiom goes, but why are both of us going to Ava for different things and different matches? So he's like, I'm competing in two matches next week. I love how they put the graphic one on top of the other one, though. But I think it's ironic because when we had the Jada Lola thing, Ava said, oh, I don't want you to have two matches in one night. Nathan gets two matches in Deadline, and now we get Axiom having two matches in one night.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
Ava doesn't give no shits about a kid. No. You know what? I couldn't stop smiling during the second portion of this.
Oh
because
my God.
I heard the words Obafemi versus Axiom next week. And I'm like, I get to see my baby boy. He gonna be right in front of me.
And Axiom's gonna
I have
die.
a big sign that says Obafeminist.
Oh gosh.
I'm so excited I get to see Obafemi.
You're excited about that, and I feel terrified for Axiom.
Yeah, you should. I'm gonna get to see Axiom go wee, wee.
And then what was
Thrown
it?
everywhere.
I think it was it versus Gallus, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah. So
I
okay,
knew
this is
they
the
had
graphic.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is Gallus.
So-
Good for them.
So it shows Oba and Axiom at the top in this NXT Tag Team Championship match, which Nathan didn't say. He said it was a tag team match.
No,
didn't
he
say
did say it was a title match.
I didn't hear. And then it says
Oh, yeah.
Nathan and Axiom versus Gallus. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh.
Ed, you sound like you got into my stash. I did not. I promise I did not get into your stash. Axiom is gonna die! Yay! Astrid, I might be able to be the physical embodiment of bringing an end to Naxium. I could be there in person to get the video footage of the end of Naxium. How wonderful will that be?
And I'm looking for a new co-host starting for next week. Who's available? Applications in here.
You already have a new co-host for next week. It's Andre C.
Yeah, but he's a guest.
My sister put it in my head, thank God Ava's not a half good wrestler. How fast would The Rock tell him to let her beat Roxanne? I don't think The Rock would get involved with that. I mean, let's be honest. You're going to be happier, but I'm guaranteed my happiness. You're probably going to get your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yes,
no, I've not lost the plot. I'm still talking about NXT, so I'm doing good. Logan going back to his comment about whether or not Shawn Michaels has stopped the push of Kalani Jordan because she's lost a few matches back to back. I really wish
what?
I really wish people would understand what a push, like what stopping a push means. Like, if you're getting TV time in a main event spotlight, you're getting a push. Whether you're winning or whether you're losing, you're getting a push. She just came off a 5-month run, I believe it was, as the Women's North American Champion. She now owes some victories to other people because other people did the job for her. It's kind of how the wrestling world is supposed to work. It doesn't always work that way. But in theory, you get a push, then you give back the wins. If you want examples of this, we can't use Charlotte. She doesn't do the second part. But we can use Becky Lynch and we can use Bayley. Bayley got almost a year-long push as the leader of Damage Control. She had a decent run as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Since then, she has still been getting a push, but she's been handed almost nothing but losses for the foreseeable vicinity because she's now giving back the wins to others that people like them gave to her on her push. Correct?
Yes. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if they stopped pushing Liv Morgan. But I don't see it happening.
This is true, Millie. Very true. Hey. Andre, if you're coming without shows, cancel next week. No Lola appreciation, nothing. No. No.
I'm glad I don't have to be on that show. We move on to a really cool segment here. Josh Briggs talking about his time in Noah. He's been back for like 6 weeks. He's been on television week after week. Hell, Tavion Heights has been part of the Candy Cruise storyline significantly for almost 2.5 months. And we finally get Briggs talking about Noah.
This should have been the moment that he returned.
Should have been. Really should have been.
What do you mean?
Or the first time we saw him with Inamura. That's when it should have happened as well.
Yeah.
But I thought this was fantastic. Josh talks about how much fun he had over in Noah. He talks about how he met Inamura. Inamura talks about how crazy he thinks that Josh Briggs is as a wrestler. He compares him to Stan Hansen, which I agree with. Josh Briggs does remind me a lot of Stan Hansen. A little bit of Stan Hansen in there. I don't disagree with that thing. He talks about how much he loves crazy Josh Briggs in the ring. I can see that. That makes sense. Briggs talks about how Inamura is a man. He's not a child. He's not infantile like Jensen is. And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Like, he's like, yeah, we have a language barrier. We have some communication issues. But at least it's a communication issue based on language and not based on this motherfucker doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing.
So that means Brooks and Josh were still speaking a different language either way.
Yeah, well, I mean,
to each other.
Jensen doesn't speak English, but that's besides the point.
Oh, gosh.
I do, however, think that we're going to get at some point soon Brooks Jensen and either Sean Spears or Nico versus Inamura and Josh Briggs in the near future.
Probably.
But this promo segment was great. I love this. It was a really good thing done with the Noah stuff. I want more NXT talent to go on excursion to Noah. At the top of my list is Lexis King. Right below Lexis King is Lola Vice.
We said other people would have liked to know her. Goodbye.
Yes, you've caught on to my plan. Send all the people I don't want to see to Noah. But no. So getting back to the comments, we do have Will saying, is it safe to say Bayley cares more about the women's division than her? I will say that Bayley cares a significant amount about both of those things, and being able to be the leader of the WWE women's division means an immense amount to her, considering all of the things that she's done to make sure it's been treated positively, while the other three horsewomen have gone on to do other things, whether it be being injured, having a child, being injured, and being in Hollywood. I think that there is a lot of things that have gone on that Bayley is like, I'm the one who's here. Even when I'm hurt, I'm here trying to be the leader of this division. As far as the rest of that, she is a fantastic friend to her friend. She has shown up at almost all of her massive matches. I don't think there's anything that she cares. There are few people on this earth I think that Bayley cares as much for as she does that best friend in AEW. We'll just say it. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her. I think that she cares plenty about both of them. Diplomatic enough answer?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Andre, you can have her. You can have her and you can keep her. You don't even have to train her for when she returns. You can just keep her. You don't have to send her back.
Oh, we lost the receipt. There's no returns.
Not diplomatic here.
Uh-huh.
Will says, I'm just glad that the Japanese men and women can go to WWE and not make them do rate. Yeah. Isn't it nice to have people in charge that don't make the Japanese people do, with the exception of that Carlito segment, which apparently, according to everybody backstage, was just an oopsies.
I can tell based on the culture that it's a culture thing. Yeah.
Yeah. We then have the wonderful segment where Sarah interviews Julia and Stephanie Vakor about the injured Stephanie Vakor. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is an interview segment with Julia and Kalani Jordan, where WWE accidentally, instead of putting Kalani Jordan on the nameplate, put Stephanie Vakor. Great. The only thing that matters about this entire segment is that Julia goes on about a 30-second rant, all in Japanese, and it is fantastic.
Yes.
I have no clue what she said.
No, but with her body language, I can tell.
But I love when they do this because it brings the emotion out of these talents and it lets them speak in their native tongue. And we don't have to understand what she's saying to understand what she's trying to say. I think this was fantastic. WWE has done a really good job under Triple H of allowing them to do this, whether it be with Triple H and Shawn Michaels in NXT. And the funny thing is I'm not even talking about women in that one, because for that one, I'm talking about Imperium. Remember when Imperium would cut promos in their native language, even though they both speak fluent English perfectly well? I loved it when they do backstage promos ahead of time and they'd have the little things on it. It was really good. Julia pulled an Asuka when she gets mad before she kills somebody. Yes, she did. And it was delightful. We go back into the locker room, and all I can say for this entire segment is the only thing I kept watching was the fact that Fallon Henley's jacket was hung up in Sol Luca's locker. So there are important things going on in this segment, and then there's the things that Ed noticed.
Big difference.
Go with the important things first. Zarya and Sol Ruka are talking about how they enjoyed the Iron Survivor. Sol talking about how the 25-minute match was one of the most fun she's had, the most opportune thing, even though she ended the match in the penalty box. Zarya talked about how it was so great that she was able to do so much destruction in such a little amount of time, and she had so many bodies to beat up. It really got across both characters in a really fun way. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson came in. They started doing their thing. They made fun of the two of them for being friendly with each other after they just had a match on Saturday. And it looks like we're getting a tag team match between Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
Yeah, you're getting it next week.
Are we getting it next week? Did they announce that? I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, you're getting it next week.
I'm getting it next week. You know, I'm getting so many good things. If I have to watch Lash Legend wrestle in person, it's fine. Because it means I'm going to get to see Zarya live.
Yes. Yes, he does. Yes, he is. Very much happy. Thank you.
Look at how happy. You know what? I'm getting Obafemi. Almost nothing can ruin that night. I'm getting Obafemi live and in person. Okay, now for the unimportant things that happened in this promo segment that caught all of my attention. Behind Zarya and Sol Ruka are two lockers, or a bunch of lockers. Roxanne Perez is off to the side of Zarya's left shoulder. Then they had Fallon Henley's locker. Then they had Sol's locker. In Sol's locker, Fallon Henley's crazy cowgirl jacket thingy is hanging up. And I'm like, that's weird. Why isn't that hanging up in Fallon's locker right next to that? More importantly, why does Ava have a locker in the women's locker room?
Yeah.
She wears the same thing that she comes to work in at work, I would imagine. Why would she change?
She has an office so she can change in.
No, you don't want to change in that office. You never know what kind of freak is hiding behind the locked door. We'll talk more about her later. And then the very small issue I have is that apparently Metaphor doesn't know how to do math. Because the match happened on Saturday, and they said 48 hours ago, and technically it's 72.
And then they got used to the Sunday schedule like I did.
The Meta Girls feel like they're going through the whole, hey, kid, put some stars over before you get called up. I'm all for this match. I think it's great. It's just sad that we're going to see Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson lose another tag match. Because they're not winning. Early prediction to be made based on NXT signings of Australian wrestlers. Mickey Fortune will be signed to a deal within the next couple of years. Very possible. I know that we'll definitely rely on our Australian wrestling correspondent, Ella J, to know exactly when and what's going on there. Because Ella always seems to know when these because she does all the interviews with all these wonderful independent wrestlers. And if you haven't watched The Wrestling Gal, make sure you get caught up. She has great content over there. Friend of the channel. We appreciate her love. We appreciate her a lot. Astrid, can you talk about the next match while I take a nap?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you starting it up now? No? Okay. No, I really enjoyed this match, actually. I don't know why it feels weird to say that. But I feel like TNT really had a good showcase with this match, though. I feel like they both showed up. Tyreek showed up a lot of his power. Tyson, when he did that kick up, I was really surprised when he did it. So it was really well done. It just being the teams. The other thing that made me laugh is that in the commentary, I think it was Booker at one point said, "Oh, if TNT win this, then this is a major win for them. Major win because they're beating Hank and Tank." I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, to be honest. It's they're not the champions and they're not the contenders either. So I wouldn't see them as, oh my God, if they got a big win over them, they're going huge kind of thing. So that part made me laugh. So I know obviously the winning helps you go up the ranks, to put it like that. But at the same time, beating Hank and Tech doesn't necessarily do much when they're not always on screen, to put it like that. But I feel like it was a fun match. I feel like they had really good chemistry. At the end, we have Hank and Tank winning, and then Tyreek got upset about the win, so he walked off. And Tyree was not happy about it. He's like, "Why? Like, kind of like, why are you acting like this to the guys?" Sort of thing. As they walked off. So that's about it for that. But I feel like TNT did really well in this match, though. Can I
Yeah.
over now?
Yeah, Matt Napover. I like TNT in this match. Hank and Tank are Hank and Tank. And you know what? The only reason why Booker T is friendly about Hank and Tank, they gave him a co-opted shirt. You don't listen to the commentary, so you might have missed this because it's Booker T. So you know how Hank Tank did the honk honk thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Booker T says they came up to him with a T-shirt that says honk honk shucky ducky quack quack.
Oh, yuck. Mm-hmm. No.
We do stand a Wrestling Gal. Wrestling Gal
Yes, we
podcast
do.
is fantastic. Much, much, much better than Hank and Tank.
Mm-hmm.
However, we move on to, ironically, that's the first hour of the show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot happened in that first hour. Again, a lot of it paint by numbers, but a lot of interesting little bits in between. But we start getting the real interesting bits here. Obafemi wakes his way to the ring to go ahead and talk about his big Iron Survivor win. Cuts a really decent promo. He talks about how him and Trick have walked in different circles this whole time. He knows about Trick, Trick knows about him, but they've never come face to face and they've never really talked because they've never really had a reason to. Because Trick's been dealing with all the Trick stuff at the top of the division, and Obafemi's been building a name for himself in the North American title picture. He wants to talk to Trick, and Trick obliges by coming out before he was ready, but not the end of the world. So him and Trick are about to get ready to talk, when all of a sudden Eddie Thorpe decides to stick his nose in grown people business.
Yeah.
This infantile child right here.
That's from Melbo.
Yeah. Mike already put up the squee, so I don't need to worry about the squee.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie comes out and says that he knows that Obafemi attacked him. To which Obafemi goes, "How do you know it was me? Did you see me?" And he's like, "No, but it was the strongest I've ever been hit. It's the biggest, strongest guy I've ever felt. So it had to be you." And Oba's like, "I appreciate the compliment. However, I did not attack you." And then, in the best possible way, both Trick Williams and Obafemi completely forget that Eddie Thorpe is in this ring.
Oh my god. And he's just pacing in the background while they're both talking, like he's not even there.
No,
And I was
he's
like, in my mind, I just wanted to go, okay, you can go now. Your thing is done. And he's just pacing in the background. I'm like, it feels like secondhand embarrassment at the same time,
yeah.
just because you're like, you're done. You can just leave, if anything. I was trying not to laugh. I was listening to the guys, but mostly laughing this whole time as I just watch it in the corner, just like back and forth. I was like, what else are you going to say? You're clearly just standing. But my favorite part is the way that Ova responds to him is like, you didn't see me, so it wasn't me. And then when he goes, thank you for the compliment, but still it wasn't me. It's just like, I love how realistic he is. And I mentioned this during the show too, that on Saturday. He's like, the way his character is, Obafemi is not the type of person to do this behind you. He will be the person to do it in front of you and still gloat about it later. So it's like, you can already tell it was not him. Hence why I said in the show, the first thing is the first layer of the story, having Eddie come out like when he did tonight. The second layer of it will be when they reveal who the attacker is, because knowing NXT, usually the whodunit thing usually gets extended very long for whatever
this
reason.
time.
And this time around, it didn't, which is very surprising. So that was my favorite part of this. It just, in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm waiting for the whodunit for it to last a couple of weeks. So I'm like, I'm excited for this because I like the whodunit kind of thing, especially my horror movies. So that's it's a me thing. And then it just happens, and I went, oh, okay. Did not expect the review so quickly. Right?
Yeah. So after after the boys decide to completely forget that Eddie Thorpe is there, Trick Williams starts talking to Alba Femi, and he's like, look, I know you're big, I know you're bad, you've been doing all this stuff. I get it, you know, we haven't talked much before because we haven't needed to. But you and me are going to cross paths. It's going to, you know, and I'm just going to continue. And Alba Femi's like, really? You think you're just going to beat me? And he just breaks down Trick Williams just so quickly. He's like, you were at Eagles training camp. And he got so pissed. And Oba didn't even say anything bad about it. He was just like, you were at Eagles training camp. And Trick Williams is like, how dare you tell the truth? And he just cuts him down to size, talking about how the only reason why the Trick Williams era, the whoop that era, has even ever been allowed to begin is because of the fact that Oba Femi allowed it.
The line of the night. I loved it.
Just mic drop. Just screw you, Trick. You're champion because I didn't. It reminds me of it's such a great line from ECW's One Night Stand, the second one where they had like the WWE Invaders, and Paul Heyman comes out and he goes, JBL, the only reason the wrestling god was born is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. And I'm just like, it just has that feel, like it just cuts the core of something. It was fantastic. This was great. Again, Oba Femi being the babyface heel. He says his piece. He doesn't care about attacking people. He'll win the match when he gets his match. He doesn't touch Trick Williams. He doesn't try to rough him up. And he just walks away. Which leaves Eddie Thorpe in the ring.
And I was like, I thought you would have left by now, but okay.
And Eddie Thorpe starts ripping into Trick Williams. I thought you were a good guy. I thought you were a man of the people. I assumed that when I came out here, you'd just offer me the championship match because of the fact that I've had injustices made against me. And I'm like, I don't like this. And then Trick's like, look, you little petulant child. You want this? You want this so bad. You think you can beat me. You know, everybody used to talk trash about me that I was just Carmelo's sidekick. And I took care of that. Everybody used to tell me that I couldn't be, you know, the NXT champion after I won the Iron Survivor. And I conquered the Mad Dragon. Everybody wants to talk all this shit about how I couldn't beat Ethan Page, how I couldn't defend my title against Ridge Holland. And I did that too. You think you're big enough. You think you're big man enough to beat me? Fine. You get a title match next week. And Eddie's like, yeah, I'm getting my title match. And Trick just goes, what? Knocks him on his ass.
No, in the line too, the back and forth they had here for a moment where he goes, you would have lessened the Japanese dojos that I came from. And he's like, you went from being from the sport to being shaped to be a sports entertainer. And I'm like, well, all right. That's another preferred Trick 2-in-1.
What? Who gave the edict that we're just gonna tear Trick apart like the last? Like, think about it. We had Ridge Holland trying and failing to do it the week before.
Yep.
And then we had both Oba Femi and Eddie Thorpe do a halfway decent job of it this week. Of making Trick feel pretty basic. Now, mind you, Trick held his own in as much as he could in the verbal portions of all of this. And to be honest, these matches will probably both be really good. Like, for all the things we talk about Eddie Thorpe, about how NXT hasn't developed his character enough, and they don't give him the continued opportunities, and how his pushes start and stop, because when he stops getting a push, he disappears for 4 or 5 months at a time most of the time. Those are the kinds of things that normally happen with Eddie Thorpe. We've always loved his in-ring action. I will be right back. Asher, can you take over for a little bit?
Yeah. I'm trying to think back where we left off. So we have. He said, "Oh, Ava, we're gonna try to make it official. Eddie versus Trick for next week." And then we start getting JC and Jasmine getting ready backstage in the locker room with Fallon for the match. And then they talk about like, oh, she's so obsessed with me. And then we get Gigi and Tatum on the way to the ring, and Tatum has a different doll in her hands. And she's like, well, there's two of us and three of them, so we're still outnumbered. And uh, Tatum says, in other words, oh, don't worry about it. Like I kind of like got it handled, sort of thing. And response, I got backup, and they get interrupted by Izzy. Izzy says to Gigi, it's like, think about it this way. We still have something going on that's gonna keep going later on. So, oh, hi, Bobby. Um, well, Bobby, what if someone like Hilkule or Lance attack Eddie? We'll get to that in just a little bit. As Billy says, Eddie's really good in the ring. Yeah, I feel like he is really good in the ring. We just like get disappointed that he doesn't get anything to like follow up what we see from him, because we do get something and then it just stops right there afterwards. Um, it's nice to see Eddie 12 getting showcased on NXT. Yep, we definitely agree on that. 100. Well, Ashton and animated us on the screen together. You haven't seen Ashton, two Ashtons in one room. Um, but yeah, Izzy interrupts the girls and they're on the way to the ring, basically saying like, "Oh, we still have something going on, like to get back to after the thing with Fatal Influence you have going on." And then we get Sean Spears, Brooks, and Nico Vance interrupt, and he says to Izzy like, kind of like protecting Tatum and Gigi here, and they walk off. And then he looks at Izzy, he's like, "Oh, you seem lost," and but he's like, "I watched your match and I was really impressed." And she's like, "I know I am impressive." And basically like, "I don't need you," sort of response, and she just leaves. So now we get the tag team match officially, and I really enjoyed it. I did think that this one was kind of a little bit shorter, more compared to what I thought it was gonna be. We do get a lot of moves here from Tatum that I really enjoyed. She did like a double underhook suplex to JC, which was really nice, and she did that little crossbody she does in the corner to JC and Jasmine as well. Again, really well done. But of course, having Fallon on the other side, Fallon distracts her, and it doesn't help. So Fatal Influence takes advantage of the distraction, and then JC and Jasmine get that win when JC pins Tatum, and then they start the beat down. You can see Gigi's outside disappointed by the loss, and she tries to get in there, try to help out Tatum in the still 3-on-2. And then we get another Dan the little doll that was represented earlier with Tatum, and it's Shotzi Blackheart returning to NXT. Again, I this is her return from injury. We haven't seen her in quite a while, so it's nice to see her. I know there was a picture, I think it was of Charlotte recently that was training, and she was in the picture with Charlotte, so it kind of gave me that feeling that she was going to return sooner or later in the next couple weeks. So I'm glad it happened tonight. So I like how we get, I don't want to call them weird, but I feel like we get all the like weird gals teaming up together, which I really like. And so now we're gonna get probably in sometimes we're probably gonna have Fatal Influence versus Gigi Tatum and Shotzi probably happening. Um, Bobby here was next for 1D2 on NXT. Yeah, that's something I've been wondering because she's been really absent lately after that stuff with Rosemary, and I feel like now the partnership with TNA and NXT, I feel like it kind of fizzled a little bit on screen, to put it like that. So we haven't really seen her. It's kind of disappointing that we haven't seen her ever since that happened, but who knows at this point. I feel like there's so much happening, but again, I feel like in the end, when the draft officially happens and everything with the Netflix move and SmackDown going to 3 hours, I feel like there definitely going to be other women in NXT that are going to be showcased more often that we don't see, like Wendy Chu, for example. So we get Nathan and Axiom that we mentioned earlier. They confirmed that they have the matches for next week. So we have Axiom versus Oba, and then we have Nathan and Axiom versus Gallus for the tag team championship. 100. Melba will totally finish Shotzi's crew, especially with the little hair, the way that she does it. I forgot what they're called. The spaceship thing. Yeah, Millie, I agree. I'm sad that the partnership has seems to have died off. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel like it was doing really well with like surprises and things like that. Like anything with Joe Hendry and Jordan, for example, was really well done. The back and forth with Rosemary and Wendy was really nice too. And I just feel like it kind of died down for a moment there. I was liking the girls like showing up in TNA because I feel like they're really lacking in the knockouts division lately. So it was nice to see that happening. I get some really like fresh like matchups that we haven't had before. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing that we just kind of stopped happening. I'm hoping something else happens, or maybe they're just waiting to see what happens now with the Netflix move and the open window to see what else is going on. But I don't know. It feels kind of like it's fizzled out, but I haven't seen anything regarding that ending in any way, shape, or form. But we'll get hopefully we'll get more news on that soon. Next up we had Tony versus Ethan. This is for the North American Championship. Uh, I feel like this one was a lot of like the storytelling with Ethan, especially during his entrance, though, which I love because he doesn't come out and do his thing like he usually does, and that he doesn't have his smile like he usually smiles. He's coming in here, he does a little pose, but he's not smiling, and he's coming entering the ring, and you can see he's kind of making himself like look like he's anxious and like taking that moment in. And even when you get the introduction as well, you can see that he has that moment of hesitation, to put it like that, and he's not very confident versus like Tony's very confident on the other hand. So I feel like this is very well done in this match, of storytelling between these two, and especially Ethan with his character and everything that's happening here since losing the NXT Championship. And again, at the end, I feel like the ending was really creative too. The Eagle's Edge turning into the spine buster for Tony to retain the title. I feel like it would have been a surprise if Ethan won, but at the same time, with the storytelling that we have going on, I had a feeling that wasn't going to happen. But again, it's like another retain here for Tony at the end. So again, pretty interesting. I'm gonna combine it here since we're talking about Ethan. He does have an interview later on. They're asking about him and like what's his next move, and he's like, "Well, I don't want to talk. I don't know what's next for me yet." So he's still going with that story there of like he doesn't know what his next move is going to be after losing the NXT Championship. After this, we get Lexis King. He's backstage with Ryan Leaf. He's talking a bit about the NFL draft, and he's doing commentary, it seems like. And Charlie passes by next to him, and he's like, I thought about it. He's like, I'll give you a Heritage Cup match in 2 weeks. So Ed is not going to get that.
No, I
He's
should.
like,
It looks like we're getting a double taping.
yeah, you are. But I mean, like, not next week happening for officially. But he said, but you have to make it through a workout with me, and if you do, then that would happen. And then he just leaves. And then Lexus, and then the guy Ryan asks Lexus, so what is the workout like with Charlie? And he's like, I really don't know, but I'm gonna go for it just because it leads to that Heritage Cup match.
Yeah. For a little bit of retrospective on Ryan Leaf, I know they mentioned a couple of the things. Ryan Leaf was the second pick in the draft behind Peyton Manning. Those of you who remember who Peyton Manning is, he was the Indianapolis Colts quarterback forever. However, the other thing you might know Peyton Manning from is he's from all those. I think it's not State Farm; it's the other one. Nationwide. Remember with all the commercials with him and Brad Paisley?
Yeah.
He was that Southern guy with Brad Paisley on all those commercials. Ryan Leaf was widely expected to have been the first pick in the draft, but he had a disastrous between the end of his season and the draft time was disastrous for him. He fell the second in the draft to Peyton Manning, and he was the quintessential bust. He was expected to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he was awful, like historically awful. And he got a lot of media attention for it, and it was very, very bad for him. He did not handle it well. He was a very young man who poorly handled it, but it's nice to see him doing better. It's nice to see him still being able to talk about even especially college football where he was so good. So it was nice to see Ryan Leaf there and to see that he's doing some good stuff. Plus, it's nice to get that cross utilization with, the college football and the CW and all that kind of good stuff. What did I miss? Did I miss anything important?
I was talking about, let's see, go back here. Well, Izzy interrupting Gigi and Tatum on the way to the match, and Sean Spears there with the group.
I still think Izzy's ending up with Sean Spears, especially after this week. Or to that story. She also looked good in that group with them. The way she was dressed tonight, I think she kind of fit that group.
And
No
then,
green.
No, and then I talked about the women's tag match, and then Tony versus Ethan before that.
Yeah, the women's tag match was actually really good. I really enjoyed a lot of that match. Trina Shotzi was a hell of a surprise. I didn't realize she was medically cleared and ready to go. So nice to see her back. Never unhappy to see Shotzi. Shotzi's always something fun to see. So, and like you said, weird girls got to stick together. So I don't know if you brought that up on here, but you brought it up in the Discord. So
Yeah, I did.
yes, I am indeed alive. I am back. Mama Fry's called from the ER to give me an update. She's doing well. She was severely dehydrated, so she is getting, as much as we've tried to get her fluids, with the surgery, the stomach becomes a little pouch, and she's not doing well getting all the fluids she needed. So we were advised to take her to the ER today. That's where I spent most of my day, and where I was until about 10 minutes before the NXT show started. So, it's been a long day there, but she's doing well. She's in good spirits. She was nice and talkative, so that's always a plus. We move on to, we talked about Tony and Ethan. Again, really good match. Brought in a lot out of Tony in this one. I saw a lot more out of Tony than we normally do. Was very happy with that. Right result. I think Tony D'Angelo needed a big win. So having Tony get that big win here against Ethan continues the Ethan spiral, continues the Ethan storyline, while also giving Tony a nice win that doesn't really have to lead to anything. It's a one-off. It's over and done with. It's good. Ethan's interview outside is really cool, really interesting. Again, nothing earth-shattering here. It's much of what we've already talked about. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how to get back to where he is. He knows how good he is. He calls himself all ego, but even right now, even he can't be egotistical right now with all the losses he's been piling up. Like I said, he needs somebody from his past to inform him of who he is. Yes, with all the football talk, it's definitely not point of view. Yes, Mama Fry, she'll be okay. She'll be okay. Like I said, it's a precautionary trip to the hospital for dehydration. Very, very simple. Lots of fluids tonight.
I was telling Bobby we'll talk about this at the end.
Yes, we will definitely talk about this at the end, because they revealed who the attacker of Eddie Thorpe was at the end of the show. And boy, it wasn't who I expected. But speaking of the end of the show, we get the main event match of the night. Not the segment, but at least the main event match. Roxanne and Cora back in their tag team attire from 2 PLEs ago. Yes, it's the Shining attire from, what, was it 2 PLEs ago? It's not Deadline, it's the one before Deadline.
I thought it was Halloween Havoc, no?
Yeah, isn't that the PLE that was before Deadline?
Yeah, I think so.
So they have their Shining attire on because they don't have any other matching gear, so you're gonna have to wear that one again. I'll be honest here. Kalani Jordan and Julia's chemistry was surprising. Mostly because Kalani Jordan is still so new at all of this. Obviously, Julia can wrestle with pretty much anybody. I mean, she's been wrestling for as long as she has. She's been wrestling in Japan for as long as she has. And if you learn nothing else in the Japanese wrestling scene, I've watched enough Japanese wrestling shows to know you learn how to work tag team matches in Japan. Because if you're in a tournament and you're not on the tournament card that night, you're working in a tag match. But no, the girls worked well together. Obviously, Cora and Roxanne worked really well together. They are sensational. I will again say there was a bit of a clunky spot with Kalani trying to get... She was going for the hot tag for Julia, and she was in the heel's corner. And she kicks Roxanne off, and then Cora comes at her, and she tries to do the down and up. And Cora just really funkily goes over that top turnbuckle side corner and falls to the ground. It wasn't a botch, but it sure as hell wasn't crisp and clean. And again, it's the reason why I mentioned is because it's again another spot where I noticed Kalani and Cora not having good chemistry. And if you remember back when we had the matches between Cora and Kalani, they weren't classics either. There's just something about these two. Stop putting them together, Sean. Stop. For the love of God, you could have had anybody else in that locker room defend Julia. You didn't need Kalani Jordan. But otherwise, this match is really good. It tells a really cool story. Julia gets pulled away with Roxanne, leaving Cora and Kalani alone. Kalani had just been hit with a pop rocks on the outside of the ring. Cora gets the big win. She needed a win. She gets said win. Kalani can afford to eat another loss right now. It's not going to kill her momentum because right now she doesn't have any. But at least, again, she's being put. No, Andre. Bad Andre. At least she's being put in a main event feud with main event stars. That's a good thing for Kalani Jordan. They see enough promise in her to put. You know what? You're right, Andre. I did. I misspoke. Anybody but Lola. Don't know what's going on. When I said anybody, he said Lola and Julia, to which I said no, not Lola, to which he said, you did say anybody. I did. Again, it's been a long day. My focus isn't quite where it needs to be. I'm mistooked. Our ladies wrestling expert here, the co-host of Women's Championship Wrestling or Women's Classic Wrestling. That's the one it is. What did you think of this fantastic match?
I did like that it goes with the theme that we started the night with, that now they look at Roxanne. It's like she's desperate to get rid of Julia as a contender. So we started at the beginning like this, with them attacking Stephanie. Here, before even Kalani gets there, they're attacking Julia, try to get the upper hand here as well. And like you said, that, you know, at one point we do get the fact that she does a pop rocks to Kalani and brings her into the ring for Cora to take care of her. And then Julia takes care of Roxanne outside and they leave, leaving them both together here. And like you said, it's like the fact I kept thinking about it. It's like, yeah, it's time that Cora got this win, because she's been losing ever since she returned, which is very surprising as well. But I'm glad she picked up this win because I feel like she needed it. I did like the fact that she looked at the referee and she's like, we're kind of like, where's Roxanne? And she's like, she went that way. She left already. She's gone. But I feel like she definitely needed that. And I feel like I said, it just comes back to what I said at the beginning, that I feel like they're building towards something a little bit more, because then we get the music for Stephanie, and then Cora's here ready with her bat, ready to attack her. Stephanie comes from behind and she attacks Cora, breaks the bat, and she runs after her to end this part. And it just like adds that moment of like, kind of like Cora's like distracting Stephanie for that moment, what Julia is with Roxanne, to put it like that. So I feel like this is definitely building towards something a little bit bigger later on.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it's Stephanie versus Cora Jade next week on the show. That it seems like a gimme over the next 2 weeks. We're getting that match. I really have a bad feeling they're gonna build to it to Halloween Havoc, and we're not getting it next week. But yes, Rob is very hopeful that Cora Jade runs past us. I want the match next week, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that would be great. This match was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot of good stuff on this show. There wasn't a lot of bad stuff on the show, and they've put a heavy focus on the tag team division because we have the tag title match next week with a match between Hank and Tank and TNT here. We had, storytelling with OTM and the Candy Crew. They are focusing on this they did the Josh Briggs and Imamura stuff.
Yes, because of the holidays.
I do believe, Rob, it's almost certain that they're taping because it's Christmas Eve on that day, so it's unlikely that they would be doing a live show. So best chances are that the Lowell show will be a double taping, which is why it starts so goddamn early. But no, I think there's a lot of good that this show did. However, the biggest clunker of the week happened just after the main event match, where we go back to Ava's office, and Eddie Thorpe's like, "Thank you, Ava. I really appreciate this. I'm so glad to have my opportunity. This is a big chance for me." And Ava goes, "Don't worry, Eddie. We're still looking into who attacked you." He's like, "Oh, don't worry. I know who attacked me." She's like, what? Who attacked you? And he's like, well, I needed to get my title match, and Lord knows I wasn't going to didn't want to go through 25 minutes of the Iron Survivor, so I attacked myself, and he just walks off. And I'm like,
No, Ava's mad about it too.
she should be. He's a clever bastard. Because those are the exact words that came to mind. You conniving, clever bastard. Eddie Thorpe faked the attack on himself to get out of having to be in the Iron Survivor and still managed to get an NXT title match. I mean, he's going to lose, but good for him for at least being smart enough to try to find a way through this.
For once, he was a step ahead.
I mean, nobody suggested that Eddie Thorpe attacked Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe did indeed screw Eddie Thorpe, though. Because now Eddie Thorpe, yes. Andre, Eddie Thorpe faked the attack on himself so that he could get out of being in the Iron Survivor Challenge match, but still be able to confront people long enough to convince Trick to give him a title. Like, yes, it's kind of a WTF, what is that? But when you stand back and think, it really is fucking clever. He didn't have to get beat up in that match for 25 minutes. He didn't have to go through that. And he still gets the prize of the title match. Not at the big show in Los Angeles, but he gets a title match in front of me in Lowell, Massachusetts. And honestly, that's bigger than any match in Los Angeles. Millie's right. So annoying how clever that was because he was sick and tired of being ignored each week and every week. He's like, you're not going to respect me. I'm not going to do the work. I can be mad that it's an easy way out, but I like what they did. They made it make sense. And you can give me any garbage you want to. As long as you make it make sense, I'll probably be okay with it. It's stupid, but at the end of the day, it's smart storytelling by a guy turning heel. I like it. It's a great way to end the show. It's a bit of a clunker that there's no more to it. But, yeah.
I'm like, for the people that were like, was it all the options that we had? And they had to go with him by himself.
Yep. After, tell the good people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Monday again doing Women's Classic Wrestling. Now you made me think about it because you messed that up earlier. And then again on Tuesday, but this time Ed will not be here as he will be in the taping. So I'll be joined by Andre, who's been in the chat. Very excited to do the show with me. It's only 1 week, Andre. One show. Just letting you know. So yeah, Andre will be joining me next week for the last, I think probably almost the last taking over of the year. So it feels kind of weird to say that. But yeah, other than that, you can find me on my Twitter, Blue Sky as Asher Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads as Pizarro20. Don't forget you're muted. You haven't done that in a while.
Well, I have to do it once a night. This is the last taking over for me for the year because we're not doing the show on the 24th because neither of us can get away to do the show, and it's a taped show, so everybody enjoy that. The 31st, we're not sure if they're doing a live show or if they're doing anything else, but we are going to go ahead and take the time off to be with our friends and our family and our loved ones, so we're not going to be around for that one either. So we'll be back. The next time you will see the two of us together will be New Year's Evil on the 7th. We'll be talking all about that. The two big championship matches that are here. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Skies at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002. Remember, if you follow me on Blue Sky, you're not going to get much because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing there. I'll figure it out at some point. However, if you want to catch me this week, you can go ahead and catch me tomorrow night with Andre C. as we talk all things Doctor Strange on our MCU rebound episode of Doctor Strange. It's going to be a fun one. Doctor Strange is one of the more interesting and different movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So there's a lot to talk about with that. You can also catch me on Point of View potentially this Sunday as we go ahead and do that. I will be at Chaotic this Friday at Smoke Show's show number 2 as Ricky Smokes, WWE ID'd Ricky Smokes, and the current reigning and defending Chaotic champion as he cashed in his Chaotic Countdown Championship match and beat JT Dunn 2 shows ago. So he is now our new reigning and defending Chaotic champion. He'll be having a big match against Tyree Taylor, one of my favorite big men other than Obafemi. So you can go ahead and catch me watching that this weekend and tweeting about it. You can also catch me live in Lowell, Massachusetts. I might pop in for a spot depending on what's going on during the tapings. I might give you guys a little sneak peek at what's coming next week on the show next week. But do catch me and a host of friends as we have the Ole year-end review. And I can now announce that we are going to be represented by All Elite Wrestling, Japanese Wrestling, headed by Mel, and Ring of Honor Wrestling. The guests for Ring of Honor are going to be our own Honor Ramble crew. Either Auntie Collins, Kimmy Sokol, or both of them will be doing that. And of course, I have gone and found a good friend of mine that I've wanted to do content with for a long time. Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling will be joining us for that. We will give you more. Once we have a date set, we will give you more information about that. But make sure to tune in. It's one of my favorite shows of the year where we go over a whole bunch of different wrestling groups and we make sure that we get everybody's take from people who cover the sports and cover those promotions extensively, what they think are the best matches, the best feuds, the best shows, all kinds of good things. So make sure you catch us for that. It's going to be an interesting time with Auntie Collins and Kimmy Sokol on that show this year. But let's catch up with the last couple chats. Billy says, no, have the best time at NXT Live Ed. But you all want spoilers. Let me give you spoilers, live spoilers on the show. It'll be fantastic. Andre says, I was watching Doctor Strange before jumping in here. I'm watching Doctor Strange after I get done here. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
I am in misery.